Finance Minister Eric Girard is focusing on Quebecers' main priorities in this last budget ahead of the next provincial election. At a time when the economy is facing potentially greater instability with the U.S. trade war and the conflict in the Middle East, Girard presented a targeted budget. This is his last pitch to convince Quebecers to give the CEQ a third mandate. So, what's in there for them?
I think we're making the right choices for Quebecers.
The finance minister has targeted measures to tackle key social emergencies, homelessness. Quebec will invest $24.8 million next year to maintain services including emergency shelters, mostly in the Montreal region. Conjugal violence. The province will also put aside $12 million next year for shelters for women facing domestic violence. And food banks will receive $21 million, what they asked for the year to come. But the finance minister is under a lot of pressure to fund infrastructure. He's adding $3 billion for the next 10 years. But the needs are enormous, and most of the investment will serve to maintain existing infrastructures. The finance minister has also put money aside for the future CEQ premier.
We've reserved explicitly $250 million per year, so $1.3 billion over 5 years, and the provision for uncertainty that is general for revenue slowdown could also be used to provide extra funding if necessary.
The opposition parties are furious and calling the measure an election strategy. There are a few positive points. This year's projected deficit is lower than expected. It went from $13.6 to $9.9 billion. Salaries and businesses' profits were higher than expected, bringing more tax revenues to the province. Quebec still plans to return to a balanced budget by 29-30.
Plan beats no plan.
But the forecast of economic growth is fragile. The trade dispute with the U.S., which mainly affects the aluminum and the forestry sectors, may get worse if the Canada-US-Mexico agreement is not renewed. The outcome of the negotiations is uncertain. There is also the war in the Middle East. Its impact on oil prices may last longer than the finance minister is hoping for.
If you listen to the Bank of Canada statement this morning, they are clearly saying that there are downside risk. A rise in energy price is a supply shock that increases inflation, reduces growth.
This budget not only faces uncertainty due to global tensions outside Quebec, but a changing political scene in the province. The CEQ will choose a new premier to replace François Legault this spring. On top of that, Girard will have to defend his track record of managing public finances in front of the opposition at the National Assembly and voters in the upcoming fall provincial election.